Hi, welcome to Books and Bocadillos. My name is Maria Andrea, and I have a doubleheader tag video today. Thanks to Ellen, Suey, and Pat for this doubleheader tag video. The first part of the video is the What's Next tag, and this tag was created by Robert G., reader of books. And the second part of the video is the TBRs Fun or Not tag, created by the Great Literary Rabbit Hole. Thank you to my friends Ellen, Suey, and Pat for tagging me. It's going to be a long one, so I made myself a nice tea with fresh cut peaches. So cheers to summer and lots of books to read. The first question for the What's Next tag is, I'm going to read from Ellen's video. Is your decision for choosing your next book based on random chance, or is there a method to your madness? Neither or both, I think. Okay, I'm going to break that up. Random chance. I don't know that I would say random chance, maybe a coincidence. So what I'm thinking of here is, this is a usual scenario in the booktube world. My friend Melinda at A Web Stories does a haul video, or one of those self-destruct videos, and she talks about a book that I've been wanting to read, and she's either going to self-destruct or she just bought it and is saying, hey, does anybody want to read this with me? So then I'll comment, I do, I have it on my shelves, I really want to read it, haven't read it yet, would love to buddy read. I think that's a matter of timing. And then she and I on the side, like comments or Voxer, are discussing, when are you available for this buddy read? I was thinking September, does that work for you? And so then we might agree on a date and it gets planned. And if you had asked me at the beginning of the year if I was going to read this book in September, I would have not known that I was going to read the book in September. So it just so happened, almost feels like kismet. And then I have a buddy to read with, and it makes the reading just that much more fun. Another scenario would be, I'm in a book club. I don't know what book, I'm in several book clubs. I don't know what book is going to get picked in, like, my in real life book club with my indie and Melinda's book club. I don't really know what's going to be picked. It's kind of, sometimes it does feel a little bit random in the sense that people vote, and then, but it's not really random because people vote, and then it's part of democracy. You read the book that everybody wants to read, and so then that's the book that I read. So it doesn't really feel random. It just feels like that. Is it my madness? No. It is my madness that I'm in multiple book clubs, but it's not really my madness. Now, the method to my madness is that I read multiple books at the same like, not at the same time literally, but I am between several books within a month. So in the span of a month, I might be into sometimes like 10 books. I don't finish 10 books in a month, but I will have picked up, put down, started, finished about maybe 10 books sometimes. Like I said, I didn't finish 10 books, but I read here and there from 10 books and maybe finished 3 or 4 in a good month. Maybe I finished 4 or 5. Maybe more. I'm not really keeping count as to, I'm not keeping stats on my reading, because then I think my reading life would get very competitive, because I think I have a bit of a competitive nature, and then I'd be like wanting to up my goal, or like if it's down, I'd be like, why is this down? It should be up. And I have enough of like metrics at work. I don't need metrics outside of work. So I feel like my reading life is just supposed to be fun. So for me, I stay away from metrics. I love metrics when other people are doing metrics. I love metrics. I love stats. I'm all about it. If you want to share your stats, I will watch. I will cheer you on. I am happy to support your reading stats and your metrics. And I think it's so much fun. I love, like, Mimi from It's Mimi Duong does this. Kat does this every once in a while from the channel Curious Cat. Melinda at A Web of Stories also, like, talks about stats. And when people talk about stats, I'm always really interested, and I am curious, and I enjoy that information. And I always wish, I wish I kept track of what I read, or I wish I was keeping stats on my reading. But then again, I know myself, and I think that might wake up my competitive nature, and it might just make me a little bit more obsessed. And I don't need to have that energy in my reading. So I just try to go with the flow, do what feels right, do a lot of mood reading, and enjoy the ride. That's my method. Question number 2. Do your criteria, I'm going to look over here. Do your criteria for choosing fiction differ from how you choose nonfiction? I suppose so. So nonfiction is usually based on a goal or an intention. So maybe it's that I am really feeling like I want to spend more time in nature, or maybe I want to be inspired and I feel like it's time to pick up some nature reading. And so I might pick up nature reading because I need maybe to connect in nature, maybe to be inspired to spend more time in nature. And so I am doing nature reading. Sometimes I might be curious, I might have a question, I might want to learn something. So then I'm looking for books that answer that question or that help me learn about the thing that I want to learn about. So I'll pick up a nonfiction book. I'm going to put cookbooks in this category. Let's say I want to try a new recipe, or I want to explore a cuisine that isn't just a natural thing for me. And so, like, if I want to make Korean food and I need a cookbook, or, there's this Korean cookbook that I bought recently, not in the last year or so, not recently. And, I picked it up, I bought it because I wanted to cook from it. So maybe if I'm craving Korean food, like if I want vegan bibimbap, then maybe I'm going to go and look at the recipe for vegan bibimbap and make that. And so that's a craving or an interest. So maybe I have a new interest in something that I want to learn, and so I'm learning how to do this thing. Right now I'm reading a lot of nonfiction because of the BookTube prize, and I'm judging nonfiction. And then sometimes I want to get better at something. So, for example, if I wanted to get better at writing or get better at being a social worker, I might pick up books that inform my practice. So I might pick up a book that maybe it's about time management, maybe it's about grief or counseling or social work or social justice or writing, poetry, learning. I might just journaling. Sometimes those are the kinds of nonfiction books. So it's maybe I want to improve. So those are the categories for picking nonfiction. For choosing fiction, I am just choosing fiction based on my mood and my social environment. So what do I feel like reading? It's summer, I feel like reading YA. So I'm going to pick up YA books. And maybe I want to finally read that best-selling book that I didn't pick up. Or maybe there's a brand new release. Summer always has like the new releases of the moment, and maybe every once in a while I might want to read that It book. Doesn't happen very often, but that might happen with the summer vibes. Um, maybe I just want to connect with a friend, or maybe I want to participate in an event like Summer of Steinbeck, and I might just join what people are reading just to have somebody to read with, maybe listen to other people process their reading, and that helps me process my reading. And that's how I pick nonfiction. Nonfiction is solely mood and social environment. 3, do other people influence your next choice? Yeah, so I talked about book clubs, buddy reads, newsletters. So I get a lot of newsletters in my newsfeed on my phone about things that the algorithm knows I'm interested in. So a lot of like the best science fiction, because I do a lot of searching science fiction. The best, sometimes I get like Latinx literature. Right now, I'm working on a video that I want to make after I finish these tags. But okay, spoiler to a video that is probably coming soon. I made a summer playlist, and then I put books. I matched a book for each song on my summer playlist, and I'm gonna share that with you in the coming days. And spoiler, one of the songs in my playlist is a Bad Bunny song. And so then I was just looking at like researching Bad Bunny like music, and I came across an article about books to match Bad Bunny's music. Like if you like Bad Bunny, these maybe are the books you want to read. And so I found some books that I really, really want to read. So I was really interested in that newsletter. So that newsletter, one, I'm listening to Bad Bunny. I have his song on my playlist, and why not read this Puerto Rican history book, or this Puerto Rican author or New Yorker author that I haven't read that I really want to read. So that's kind of how I'm influenced a lot of like in the moment, what's important to me. And right now, music and finding joy in community and music is really important to me. I feel like in this climate and culture, I'm finding a lot of joy and support and encouragement in the music from my community. So I'll share more about that soon. But that's an example of how recently I was influenced by a newsletter. I'm also co-hosting Yawgust next month with Suey at the channel Suey's Book Banter. And I have been looking at YA books, both old and new. And I've been rekindling my love for Book Riot's podcast, Hey YA. So I've been listening to a lot of episodes from Hey YA, and they constantly keep adding to that never-ending list of YA books that I really, really, really want to read. So I keep finding new authors and new recommendations, and so Hey YA is really influencing my reading and my book shopping at the moment. Question number 4. Aside from other people, what other influences might impact your choice? So I just talked about that. Newsletters, podcasts, music, the Pedro Pascal event here on BookTube. I'm going to be reading books narrated by Pedro Pascal from Chile, or books that Pedro Pascal has read and recommended. So stuff like that, that's fun. Maybe, something that's trendy or fun is kind of what really gets me excited about something new. So that Pedro Pascal was something that was really encouraging and really fun. Something I'm looking forward to. So that is all for the what's next tag. The last prompt for that tag is tag friends, and I will in the description box. Next, are TBRs fun or not? Question number 1. How many books are currently or normally on your TBR? I have no idea exactly. And I'm going to define TBR here. So I usually, when I say TBR, I always kind of mean the collection of books that I want to read in my lifetime. Like I hear about a book, I add it to my never ending TBR. And that's usually something that I keep on Goodreads or on Kindle or in my shopping carts, right? Like at bookshop.org, I have a wish list and a cart. And so things might just stay in the cart for months. And then if I don't buy them in months, I might end up just putting them for safe later in my wish list. And eventually, when I'm able to, I'll be able to acquire that book that I really, really want to acquire. And then I also have like a notes app where maybe I want to go look for books at the library, and so I might have a library note where I just keep a list of books I'm going to be looking for at my public library. So that's how I refer to TBR. But I think that for the sake of this tag, I think this tag refers to your monthly booktube, like TBR. Like what are the books that you're reading on a month-to-month basis? So on a month-to-month basis, I'm probably juggling maybe 10 books. Like I said earlier, I'm not finishing 10 books, but maybe my reading is ongoing. So this is one of the next questions. I'll just say it here and refer to it again later. I don't force myself to finish a book in a time limit. I will read that book until I choose to DNF or I finish. And sometimes it takes me months to finish a book, and sometimes I don't DNF. Maybe I say, okay, I'm going to put a pause. This is a good place to stop this for a minute. I'll come back to it later. I always say I'm a dabbler, and I really am. I just dabble in what is feasible for the time and what is keeping my interest for the time. And that might change month to month, season to season. I like reading seasonally too. So sometimes there might be books that I start in winter, but then come summer or come spring, I maybe don't want to keep reading this, and maybe I say I'm going to leave this for next winter. Beartown was one of them. I started in the winter, and then I was listening to it and juggling between the audiobook and the paper and the physical copy that I have. And then we moved into a different season. I was looking for other books that I wanted to read, and I thought I'll just pick right up where I left off in the winter again. And so that might be, there's probably going to be a book that I pick up this coming winter again. So more or less about 10. 2. How do you choose TBR books? Reading events on BookTube, book club books. For the books in Book Ideas Book Club, I have one every month. And then I tried sometimes to do a play either with the Bard Room or with Angelia, and I'm really behind on the plays. I'll pick one up and then I won't finish it, or maybe I'll start later in the month and then the discussion ends on the Discord on the Discord. They're both on Discord. I didn't get to participate in the discussion, but I picked up the book anyway, and I read the book anyway. It just didn't make it into a discussion. But that's how I choose my TBR books. So book clubs, buddy reads, booktube events. I try to have like maybe a play, a book of poetry, maybe every once in a while a short story, a couple of fiction, maybe one nonfiction. Sometimes I try to have like a spiritual faith book going. So, that just shifts from month to month, season to season. Have I ever gamified? I've never gamified. It says, have you ever gamified your TBR? Example given prompt jars or TBR games? Well, okay. For Yagist, I created that poker hand. So that is gamifying. So it's not something I do every month, but for the Yagist reading event, I thought it would be fun. So I'm doing a poker hand TBR, and we've encouraged others participating in Yagist to do the same. And I think I'm having a lot of fun. It is actually really hard to pick just 5 YA books, and I might do a couple of rounds, so I might try to get that royal flush, and then I might see if I get 2 of a kind or 3 of a kind. I think might be my second round, but we'll see. That's kind of what's going on right now with Yagis, is that poker hand. It's actually I'm really having a lot of fun with it. It's actually really fun. And then question number 3. Do you have reading areas of focus to choose books for? If yes, how many? Areas of focus. Not really areas of focus. I mean, I mentioned like not consistently. Every once in a while, I might be reading like a faith-based spiritual text. I might be reading poetry, not a whole poetry collection, but I might be reading poetry from a specific collection, or maybe I'm looking for a specific kind of poetry. So like sometimes I'm thinking like spooky season, maybe I just want to read horror poetry, and maybe for that season I'm just looking for horror poetry. That's an example of something that might be like season specific. I like a short story here and there. It's not every month that I read a short story, but every once in a while I might throw in a short story. And I mentioned reading a play, trying to anyway. And right now I'm doing the booktube prize, so I'm reading quite a bit of nonfiction, but I might be reading a cookbook on and off. I might be reading a nonfiction book, either like a grief book or something having to do with my career. Maybe something related to like self-care or work-life balance or something like that. Question number 4. Does a TBR help you focus? I never considered that a TBR would help me focus. I'm going to say no, because that's not why I do a TBR. Like, I don't do the TBR to focus. I just do the, and I don't really call it a TBR. Again, it's kind of like these are the books I'm reading in the month, not always finishing them in a month. And I'm doing it more so to connect with people or for my special interests. So yeah, I don't, that's not the goal for me, for a TBR is to, it's not to increase productivity or to focus. It's just how it is. Question number 5. Do you suffer from book noise, the book noise of a TBR? Not really. I don't think I suffer from book noise. I think I enjoy it. So, okay, when I work or when I study, I have to have noise in the background. I'm always listening to music. If I'm like trying to focus or trying to study or trying to work, I'm listening to music. Sometimes I'm listening to an audiobook or a podcast. Not really so much if I'm trying to focus or like study, I'm not really listening to an audiobook. I might be listening to an audiobook while I'm driving. That's most, or when I'm like doing chores. If I'm cleaning, I might be listening to an audiobook or music. If I'm washing dishes, I'm watching YouTube videos. So I am a multitasker. Like I have things in the background. I always have noise. I'm doing one thing and doing another thing, and that's just how I function. So yeah, I don't think I could just get stuck with one book. I think I'd get bored because I think I like having, I like dabbling, I like picking something up and reading it, and then maybe my mood shifts, or maybe I'm more, my curiosity gets spiked in another direction and I might try something different. That's generally how I read. So I don't consider it noise, and like I like I like being on BookTube because I like the noise. I like hearing what other people are reading, and I like getting recommendations. So when Dr. Cranky Pants or Ellen or Melinda shout me out and give me a recommendation, which the three of them have, and I am reading those recommendations. When they give me recommendations, when anybody here or somebody like a subscriber or a friend put a recommendation in the comments, I note it and I think I should read this. So I I appreciate that. Like I like hearing people talk about the books that they loved and the books that they didn't. And sometimes people talk about the books that didn't work for them. And I really feel like that would work for me. So it makes me, when somebody says, I hated this book and they say why, and I feel like that would be a book for me. The fact that this person hated it or did not love it or did not recommend it, but I feel like that could work for me, that makes me even more motivated to pick it up and to read it. So, um, you might call that noise, but I just call it motivation. I just call it staying awake and being alert and like the thrill of having so many books to read and never being bored. I love it. I think that's why I'm here on BookTube. Um, Next, do you give your TBR a time limit? No. And does a TBR make you stress about reading quick enough? No, because I don't give myself a time limit. I will pick up a book and I'll finish it when I finish it. Sometimes, okay, when it's a buddy read, I prioritize it. So yes, when it's for a book club, I know the book club is meeting on this date. I'm gonna aim to finish it. So that one's gonna be at the top of my priorities. Um, I really love a book event like Big Book Summer, hosted by Sue Jackson and Melinda at Web Stories. Sue Jackson from the channel Sue Jackson. I really like Big Book Summer because it gives you a whole season, and I think that fits more with how I read. I'm I I don't like to fit things into small spaces. Like I don't like to tell myself I have to cram this because then it makes me feel like I'm in school where I'm cramming. I'm having to like study for a test or like, like there's an expectation. I kind of like to be able to just take my time. The BookTube price has been really good for me because it gives me an extended period of time to read 6 books, and I can choose when I'm going to juggle those books and how I'm going to juggle them. And I like that. I like having that extended period of time. So I don't cram. I'm not in school anymore. Not now anyway. I might be soon, hopefully, but not now. Do you have, question number 7, do you have rebellion syndrome, not wanting to read a book because you put it on your TBR and now you feel you have to read it? No. 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 No, I think I'm trying to think of every possible scenario. No, even with like reading events. East of Eden, for example. I'm reading East of Eden for Summer of Steinbeck. That's the July pick. I'm looking at how things are going. I'm reading for the BookTube prize. I have the books in Book Ideas Book Club. I am preparing for August. I have some extra videos I need to make for August. I might not. There's a chance that I might not. Oh, and then I've been reading stuff for work. So I've been having to read stuff for work, not wanting to read stuff for work. So things that I wasn't expecting to read are now things that I need to read. And I might not be able to finish East of Eden but before the month of July ends. I might need to carry that on until I finish, and I'm not stressing about it. I don't think that's what one, there's no joy in that. And two, I don't think anybody's expecting me to cram or be stressed. I think that the people I'm reading with are all people I would consider friends, and they would just encourage me to be gentle and compassionate with myself. And I'm going to take my time and enjoy a book I love. I love East of Eden. It's a reread, but even then, because it's a reread, it's taken me 20 plus years to read it again. I'm going to take my time. I'm not going to rush it. So yeah, that's an example of having rebellion syndrome in that regard. Yeah, like I'm rebelling the time limit. Maybe that's kind of the opposite of what the question is asking, but that's kind of how I interpret it. I think for me, it feels more like self-care and not so much from a point of rebellion. Next is, do you keep books on your TBR until they are read or swap the TBR around regularly? I do both. I keep books that I start on my TBR until they are read. I maybe stop talking about them if I'm putting them on hold or pause. I may not talk about them here on my channel because maybe, like I've said in the past, I'm reading Middlemarch. I'll read Middlemarch until I finish it. I might not talk about it every month because it's just kind of one of those books that I'm slowly reading. Anna Karenina took me a really long time to read, so I think maybe mention that every once in a while, but it's not something that I talked about a whole lot. So there are books that are around and they're kind of always there for a little while until they get finished. And then swapping regularly, yeah, I might, like I gave the example of Beartown. I started in the winter, then the spring came and I had other inspiration, other things I wanted to read. I set it down, didn't DNF it, I'll come back to it. But then I put in other books that I wanted to read in the spring. And the same thing goes in the summer. Like I think I had mentioned, another book I started was Lina Meruane's Sangre en el Ojo. I mentioned this a few weeks ago in my weekend review video. I talked about reading Pedro Pascal, doing the readathon, the Dear Pedro Pascal, You Are Perfectathon that Crystal from Viber Artsy is hosting next week, this week, later this week. And one of the prompts is to read a Chilean author. Well, I started this Lina Meruane book back in January. I didn't finish it. I put it on pause. This is a perfect opportunity to pick it up again. So I'm going to pick it up. So that's a book that maybe I swapped. I was reading it, then I picked up something else, and now I'm bringing it back in to my reading. I need to take a sip. Next, have you ever, quote unquote, killed a book by having it on your TBR too long? No, I don't think I have. I can't think of an example in which I killed a book. I haven't ever done the self-destruct thing either. I thought about doing a self-destruct, but I haven't. I think the closest that I've gotten to killing a book is last year. I took books off my shelf, books that have been on my shelves for a really, really long time, like over a year, and I hadn't read them, and I wrapped them up, and I made little numbers and numbered them all, and I was supposed to open one up every once in a while, and like kind of like a blind date with a book feel. Okay, that would be randomness, right? I did that, and I haven't started. I haven't read any books from the pile, so those books are all wrapped up, and they are like out of sight, out of mind. So I haven't killed them, but I've just I haven't forgotten about them because they're here. I have them in like a basket of like wrapped gifts, like books that are wrapped in a basket, and I haven't picked one up. And every time I look down, I'm like, God, I really should pick one up. They're books I really want to read, and some of them I think I've forgotten which ones I ended up wrapping. So there might be some fun surprises to come in the future. Question number 10. Do you have a tick list for your TBR to tick off books as you read them? No, I'm not that organized with my reading. Again, I don't keep stats, I don't keep metrics, I don't keep a spreadsheet. I tried keeping like an analog reading log, and then I don't get back to it. So I haven't created, and I always think I would like to, but again, I just feel like then I think my perfectionistic tendencies would start coming up. My competitive nature would start waking up its little tentacles. And then then I wouldn't be reading for fun. I'd be reading more like as a game, a competitive game. And I don't really want to feel that way. So I think I just am very relaxed. I'm very disorganized with my reading, like with what I read, how I organize, all of that. I'm just go with the flow, keep it relaxed, don't overthink it. Like my husband says, keep it simple. I try to. The whole wrapping things up and making them, that doesn't feel simple, but I haven't gotten to them. Next, what one change do you think let me read this again. What one change do you think would help your TBR be more fun? Okay. What one change do you think would help your TBR be more fun? I was thinking about this just a few minutes ago before I started recording, and I thought maybe what would make things more fun is if I put like little sticky notes in my books, and on each sticky note, I wrote a reward. So, like if I wrote go to like free ice cream. So I go to my favorite ice cream place and get free vegan ice cream, or like rewards. Um, $25 gift certificate in a little sticky note, like $25. This is a $25 gift certificate to treat yourself at Barnes and Noble or bookshop.org or wherever, my local indie. Like if I put incentives in the books that I already own, so that when I grab them, I find a surprise. Like, okay, I can, like, something that's doable, something feasible, not something that's going to be like all expenses paid trip to Hawaii. And that might not be something I can afford at the moment. So that wouldn't work. But, like small little tokens of like reward or achievement, that might make it more fun, because then I would forget what's in what book. And then I just find myself like with little motivations to like, oh, go to your favorite coffee shop and take me for a 30-minute to an hour reading date. So I would take that book to my favorite coffee shop and sit there for 30 minutes to an hour, just reading and having my favorite drink at that coffee shop. So those are some ideas I was thinking about. What would make TBR more fun, especially if like I have a shelf, which is my yearly TBR, where every year I put books in that shelf, in that shelf space, that are like, these are the books I'd like to read this year. And so to avoid getting distracted from that shelf, because sometimes I do, because Buddy reads, because people on BookTube are talking about this one book and I really want to read it. So I might just read something else that wasn't on my shelves, and that would incentivize me to go and get that book to read and have fun. Something like that might be fun. And final conclusion, are TBRs fun or not? I say not. No. I say mood reading all the way. Just have fun. Go with the flow. Don't worry about what's on the TBR. I mean, other than, again, buddy reads and book clubs, just have fun. And that's all. Thank you so much for watching. Hasta la próxima.